In fourth grade, we are ready for language lesson 166. We are getting into our last and final review chapter for the year. Today, we are starting that. We have a number of lessons of review we're going to go through, and so let's get started with that today. For today's lesson, we're going to review different types of sentences. We're going to go over our subjects and verbs, what they are, how to find them, and our capitalization rules. And then I'll tell you what you need to do in your lesson today, and we'll see how well we remember everything that we learned this year. So I'm going to be asking questions and talking about these things, and even though you're not here and you can't tell me and I can't hear you, you can still tell me, even from home. Just say the answers as soon as you think of them. And if you're wrong, then I will say the right answer, and then you will know it for your test. So try to give as many answers as you can. As I ask questions, just go ahead and say the answer, and let's have fun reviewing together. So first of all, we're going to start with types of sentences. What are the different types of sentences? How many different types of sentences are there? There are 4 types of sentences. Can you think of any of them? What are they? We have imperative, declarative, exclamatory, and interrogative. Now, what does each type of sentence do? So what does an exclamatory sentence do? An exclamatory sentence has sudden or strong feeling, and it ends in an exclamation mark. Now, what does an interrogative sentence do? It asks a question, and it ends in a question mark. What does a declarative sentence do? It simply states something. It just says something, and it ends in a period. Let's go for a walk, okay? Now, what does an imperative sentence do? An imperative sentence gives a command. For example, please go shut the door. And it ends in a period, or it could end in an exclamation mark if you are saying it very emphatically. Please go shut the door, okay? Now, when we're talking about subjects and verbs, what are subjects and verbs? We work with them so much that seems like a funny question. But what is a verb? A verb is a word that shows action or state of being. Okay? We have different lists of verbs that we've talked about. We know if we're looking for a word that shows action, that's an action verb. A state of being verb is a verb that just shows a state of being. And let's go over that list together. Can you say them with me? Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Let's say them one more time. Am, is, are, was, were, be, being, been. Okay? And then we have our helping verbs. Our helping verbs help our action verbs. Have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, will, should, would, may, might, must, can, could. I think you memorized those earlier this year. See if you can say them with me. Have, has, had, do, does, did, shall, will, should, would, may, might, must, can, and could. Very good. Now, what is a subject? Excuse me. A subject tells who or what the sentence is about. Okay? So if you have your verb and you're looking for the subject, ask who or what did whatever the verb did. Okay? And that will be your subject. It's what we're talking about. Now let's go over our capitalization rules. Now for these, just try to give the answers as much as you can. So let's get started here. First of all, in every sentence, what needs to be capitalized? What is something in every sentence that needs to be capitalized? The first word, right? Of course. And what about direct quotations? What is something about direct quotations that needs to be capitalized? The first word of a direct quotation. Remember, a direct quotation is when it's someone's exact words, and the first word, needs to be capitalized. Capitalize the word I. about the days of the week and the months of the year and the seasons? Do they need to be capitalized? The days of the week need to be capitalized. The months of the year needs to be capitalized. Do the seasons need to be capitalized? Summer, fall, spring, and winter? No, they do not need to be capitalized. Do not capitalize them. What about poetry? How do we capitalize in poetry? Every single line in poetry needs to be capitalized. It's not just every paragraph, but every line. What about holidays and special days? For example, the 4th of July or Christmas, Easter, that type of thing. They need to be capitalized. Make sure you capitalize those. What about titles of books, magazines, newspapers, poems, stories, and songs? What do we capitalize in those? In those titles, capitalize the first and last word and capitalize all the important words. How do you know what the important words are? Words like a, and the do not need to be capitalized. Words like and, at, by, down, for, in, those don't need to be capitalized. Think about if they are words that really help you know what the story is about. Okay? Important words need to be capitalized. Capitalize the names of, so do you capitalize the names of people, places, and things? What do you think? Do you need to capitalize those? You need to capitalize them if they're talking about a particular person, place, or thing. You do not capitalize the word girl, but you would capitalize the name Mary. Or you would not capitalize park, but you would capitalize Raccoon Creek State Park. You would not capitalize store, but you would capitalize Walmart, okay? What about words like mother, father, grandmother, and grandfather? Do you capitalize? Are you supposed to capitalize them? You are supposed to capitalize them when they are used as names. So if you could put a name in place of that and it would sound right, then yes, you capitalize them. For example, if you say, Grandma, may I use your car? I have no idea. That wasn't the greatest example. But if you could put a name there, like Peter, may I use your car? But if you would say, my grandma gave me candy, you would not say, my Peter gave me candy. We've talked about this before, and it always sounds funny. But remember that if they could be used as a name, or if you could put a name in place of it, then yes, you capitalize it. Now, names referring to God in the Bible, capitalize them. Capitalize names referring to God in the Bible. What about initials? What are initials? For example, your name, if you take your first name, your middle name, and your last name, you take the first letter of each word, those are your initials. And you need to capitalize initials. Capitalize the title of a person when it comes before a name. Now, what do we mean by that? For example, if you say Mr. something, Mr. John, you would probably use his last name instead of that. But Mr. or Sir, Mrs., Dr. Reagan, something. Capitalize a title like that when it comes before a name. Now, in your lesson today, you have page 256, 257, and 258. You are doing a lot of finding subjects and verbs. Watch for compound subjects and compound verbs. Then you need to draw a line through prepositional phrases. You can pull out your list of prepositions and watch for more than one prepositional phrase in a sentence. You also need to diagram. On page 256, diagram your subjects and verbs. So get a paper for that. Please remember to do that. On page 257, you're finding more subjects and verbs, and then they tell you specific sentence numbers that you need to diagram the subjects verbs and their modifiers. So diagram the adverbs and adjectives with those. Make sure you get that done, please, as well. And on the next page, go ahead and follow the directions and work through that carefully. Please work carefully. Please make sure you get your full lesson done, and I will talk to you later. Thank you for listening.